Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to Thursday for June. It's not June anymore. July 2024. Welcome everyone to Thursday for July 2020, July 24, 2025. What's going on with me this morning? I want to welcome our friends here to the stage. Welcome Nistan, Jan Pelag, Wolf from Raven Wolf, and we're going to have LDJ as well. How are you guys? What's going on? Excited? It's been a big week.
Definitely. What a week. It's almost Christmas and summer.
Open source Christmas, and the Christmas has been giving since Kimi, and now we have a few more models to talk about. Very excited to talk about this here with you guys as well. So let me introduce to the show and to the stage Wolf from Raven Wolf. Welcome, Wolfram.
Hello, everyone.
And we also have Jan Pelag. Jan, welcome as well. What's going on?
Hey, how are you doing?
You're back in your
Great week.
You found a safe place now for you and your Hebrew model.
Working on it.
Alrighty, and we have Nistan as well. Fresh haircut, Nistan. What's up?
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's been an interesting week.
Yeah,
to say the least. Yeah,
definitely interesting week, and it looks like the whole gang is here together because LDJ also stepped in. LDJ, welcome with upgraded connection. We hope.
Yep.
Alrighty, awesome. Right, folks. So I think it's been one hell of a week for all of us, and the highlights. I believe we're gonna have some breaking news. I feel like it's in the air. So some folks in the comments were saying, "Hey, you know, this is about to drop as well." So we'll see if that's gonna drop. We don't try to do speculations, but verified stuff that we know are coming, we definitely would like to cover. This week has been a very, very big one for open source. Very, very big one for open source. We saw, I believe, week after week, multiple models beat each other. We also saw, and we're gonna discuss this at length with Joseph. The White House, we need to win AI kind of act and action plan. We're gonna mention that as well. And yeah, open source has been big this week. I think it's time to just dive in because we're gonna have a very big show, and we'll just run through all the updates for you. If you're new to the show, if you're tuning in, we're here every week to kind of make sure that you know what's going on. Honestly, it's a service for us as well. I just want to take a pause and say it really helps me being the host of the show because I kind of have to keep up with the AI, and I wanted to anyway. So now it's part of what I do. And I believe a couple of times that we mentioned stuff, the other folks on the panel was like, "Oh, really? This happened." So it's really a service for us as well. It's really fun to just be here. But also we're here to keep you guys up to date for everything that happened in the world of AI. We may have a surprise guest from a certain big lab that did some releases this week on the show. The link was sent, the invitation was sent as well. We'll see if they will show up, and if they will, it's gonna be awesome. Besides this, we're gonna have another guest, Joseph Nelson from RoboFlow, who is I think has been to Washington while the AI Act was released, and so he's going to chat with us about this fairly momentous change in policy and update from the U.S. government about AI, about open source, etc. So we're going to chat about this. We also have, I think, multiple open source stuff to chat about, and we will definitely have to talk about the IMO Gold that multiple companies has won, and a little bit of a drama over there as well. All right, folks, I think it's time for us to do the TLDR. TLDR is the corner where we just kind of run through everything that happened before we dive into this, because obviously with so many things happening at once, we're not able to talk about all of it. With this though, the thing I used to do and I like doing is just going around the co-host panel, just asking the one thing that stood out for you this week. It could be the same for all of us. It sometimes is, but yeah, let's start with Wolfram, then Nistan, LDJ, and then Yam. Wolfram, what was the one thing that we absolutely must talk about?
The Qwen models, of course. It's not one, it's two. And it's definitely, yeah, in my tests, it was the best open source SOTA model ever, actually.
Yeah. It's actually three because they just released a dedicated translation model, which I thought you'd love as well, a specific Qwen for translation. So literally just released a second before we started the show. And I think there may be more stuff coming. Nistan, what about you?
There was a new text-to-speech model, and I forgot what it was, but it sounded very good.
Higgs audio.
Yeah, I think so. The
Yeah.
6B, yeah, that one. I feel like that's, I mean, besides Qwen, that's the one where you can actually finally generate an open source LM notebook, like an open source dialogue about it, reading stuff. Because that's what I feel like a lot of the AI field is missing. Is we're missing something that can just like read news to you with multiple voices. If it can do that, then it's a lot better. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
All righty, thanks, Nistan. And LDJ, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Wolfram that I think the Qwen models seem like the most significant lately, especially since we had the Kimi K2 model that was like around 1 trillion parameters total. And so you need a lot of VRAM to store that. But this new Qwen model, I think it's around 480 billion. So it's like a little bit less than half the size of Kimi's total size. Yet it seems to be comparing comparatively, but if not like even better in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting. And then of course their coding specific model, it seems like it's really fighting with the top non-reasoning coding models. I think it's not beating the reasoners though, right, Wolfram?
Very, very close to reasoners.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Wolfram. We did some evals on both of these models. We're gonna get to them as well. And last but definitely not least, Jan Peleg, what was your highlight this week, brother?
Everyone is world class in math now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
yes.
A problem that hasn't been broken for years, decade. Everyone is talking about computers being all of a sudden the same week. Everyone gets gold medal, world class. It's interesting, and also if we have time, I don't know, I can say a few words about OpenAI's agent. Last time we saw it, but I played a lot with it this week, and it's absolutely great. And I think there is a lot to talk about it. So
yeah, so for folks, just a reminder for folks who weren't with us on the live stream last week, OpenAI released ChatGPT Agent on last week's stream, July 17th, also my birthday, so I got like a little present. We were expecting the open source model from OpenAI, and they're like, no, we're going to give you a Deep Research Plus operator, which is the ChatGPT agent. And I've also played with this. We'll definitely have a corner because they released it on stream. We didn't get it until like I don't know, a day later. So we definitely would like to chat about this, to tell you guys how to use this, etc., and what our feelings about this. I think this covers the kind of the beginning of the show, folks. Let's jump into TLDR, and then we'll hurry into the actual content of the show. Let's do it. This is the TLDR. This is the corner in ThursdaiI where we talk about everything that we're going to mention on the show, everything that happened this week, super quick, in order to kind of keep you up to date if you don't have the 2 hours to spend with us. So today's host and guest, my name is Alex Volkov. As I said, I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. Weights and Biases from CoreWeave is the full way to mention this. And we're going to mention a few things from Weights and Biases CoreWeave on the stream. With me, co-host Wolfram Ravenwolf, Jan Peleg, Nistan Tahira, and LDJ. And we'll have possibly one guest confirmed, Joseph Nelson from RoboFlow, and potentially another guest we'll mention if they are able to come. We'll dive in straight into the open source. This week, open source corner is going to be very hot because, well, let's start with the small potatoes. Not maybe super small. Sapient Intelligence, a company that relatively I haven't heard of before, released something called Hierarchical Reasoning Model, and it's quite something. It's a reasoning model without pre-training. Running on 2 GPUs can get a very significant results. We're going to chat and dive into this. We also have our friends from News Research for the second week in a row releasing datasets. This one is Hermes Reasoning Tool Use dataset with 51 tool calling examples, which is very impressive. But then, of course, the big potatoes in open source this week. Our friends from Alibaba Qwen went on an absolute tear with 2 models back to back, just incredible models. First, they released a Qwen3 update. They said a small update, though the small update is significant if you just look at the comparison pictures. This is their 235 billion MOE model with 22 active parameters, 22 billion active parameters. They called it 2507. I think the full name is really something. It's Qwen3 235B A22B instruct 2507, but basically we're just gonna short call it 2507. This model is very, very impressive. This is a non-reasoning model. They removed reasoning from it, and yet it performs incredibly. So we're going to dive deep into how and why, and hopefully invite folks from Alibaba Qwen as well. And then, to the surprise of, I think, pretty much everyone, I did not expect this. Was that yesterday? No, it was like 2 days ago. They have rumored that they're going to drop something, and then they dropped Qwen3-Coder. It's a 480 billion behemoth of a coding model, specific coding model with 35 billion active parameters. It's also an MOE, instruct focus model. They trained it with 7.5 trillion specific tokens, 70% code ratio, 70% code in the tokens. And this model is quite incredible across multiple benchmarks of coding benchmarks. It achieves and it beats Kimmy-K2 on Sweetbench Verified. It's the state-of-the-art model now for coding as far as we've considered. And I'm very, very proud to say that in this week's Buzz, the corner where I talk about weights and biases and CoreWeave, we have day 0, or you could say day 1 support for both these models. So we launched these models on our Inference service. And if you're interested in this, please stick around for a chance to get up to $50 in credits, which I now can do, which is incredible. So this is going to be an open source. I have rumors about a new model released maybe soon from another company in China called maybe we'll see. So this is it for open source. Oh, Qwen also dropped a smallish model for translation, focused on translation, just before we started the stream.
And there's also the Nemotron models I sent you a link to.
Awesome, yeah. So Nemotron from NVIDIA, the reasoning ones, right? They have an update there? Yep. We'll add this to the links as well. Though I don't know if we're going to have time to chat about them. As we'll move to big companies and APIs and LLMs and generally like the world of AI for big companies, I think we'll have a friend of the show, Joseph, to join us to talk about America's AI Action Plan, the new Win the AI Race strategy that dropped from the White House and dropped yesterday. As we know, some of the latest changes in administration also brought with them some folks focused on AI, and it talks about deregulation, talks about multiple things. Generally, I think very positive in the way we think about the world, and we're gonna dive in and tell you some details from this action plan. Then we also have, as Jan Pelk mentioned at the beginning, all of the big companies, almost all of the big companies, OpenAI and Google DeepMind, both win IMO Gold, International Math Olympiad Gold, for the first time since ever. Biden's seed prover takes silver on the same competition. There was some drama about who released what when, but generally it's quite incredible that those reasoning models, no tool use reasoning models, I think in both cases, just reasoning models were able to take gold. Very impressive result. And also there's a little bit of a mixed reaction from some mathematicians, folks who maybe didn't pay attention to the AI world until now, started noticing that, hey, this is now coming for them as well. We also have some updates from Google earnings call that happened just this week, and they gave some updates about some numbers about their crazy AI usage. It's quite incredible. And I think we'll get to a corner, both me and Yam are excited, other folks as well, about a week with ChatGPT Agent. So ChatGPT Agent was released literally last week on the show. We live watched it together with you guys, but then we didn't have access to it for a bit. And now we did have access to it. We played with ChatGPT Agent, and there's multiple things that we will talk about how agents behaving in the new world. Of course, we had agents before. This is kind of an iteration of Operator, and we're going to chat about this. As I mentioned before, in this week's Buzz, the corner where I cover whatever happened in the world of this show sponsor, Weights and Biases by CoreWeave. A lot has happened this week. Yours truly was involved deeply into some of these things, as I become somewhat of a router for which models we should productize, and I'm deeply involved in productization. I was part of the release of day 1 or day 0 support of WB Inference for both the Qwen models. We launched both of them on our Inference. I think we were like the second maybe to launch the Coder model in full precision, which is very, very, very awesome. And some folks here on stage have had a chat to already play with this. Nistin, I think, will be able to show a little bit of a demo for you guys to how to use this with your favorite coding tools. Mentioning this, I will also mention how to potentially get a little bit of inference credits from us that we're doing a little bit of a not a raffle. Moving forward, I have a corner here for interesting research. In case we have a chance to get there, I found this like 2 very cool things happening in the world of like research. Subliminal learning for LLMs. I don't know if you guys saw this paper or not. It's very, very interesting. That phenomenon where large language models pass behavioral traits to other models via seemingly innocuous data. I will say again, they pass up preferences and traits via just like a series of numbers. And that's a definitely interesting paper to chat. And also there's a new paper from Apple. Multi-token prediction speeds up LLMs 5 times. I don't know if you guys seen this, but it's quite something. Apple released like a thing that like supposedly speeds up LLM inference by 5, which is quite crazy. It's kind of like speculative decoding to an extent, but not necessarily. In voice and audio, we absolutely must mention a new, looks like King text-to-speech model from Boson AI called Higgs Audio V2, and it sounds quite impressive. We're gonna play a sample here. It definitely a great release in the world of CTS. As you guys know, we track and love this field. And also in AI art and diffusion, a new company came out, Descartes AI. I think they had been around for a while, and now they released something called Mirage LSD. It's really funny. The name LSD is really funny there. They call it the first real-time live stream diffusion AI model. Live stream diffusion AI model. And hopefully we'll be able to show you how this looks based on all of us together. I don't know. We'll figure out something. We'll figure out some way to show you this. It's a live stream diffusion in 24 FPS. It's quite something. And in tools we have, I haven't edited this, but in tools we have the Qwen folks not only released models, they also released Qwen3-Coder, which is a clone of the Gemini coder, which includes Qwen tools, and it's basically kind of like Claude Code competitor, we would say. It's like a CLI to run their models. This is in tools. I believe there's some more other tools as well. This is it for this week, folks. I think it's time to start with open source, but before this, I'll ask folks who are listening and folks who are on stage, is there any big important release that I've missed from this week that we should also cover? Wolfram, you already said the Nemotron models. I'm gonna add this.
By the way, I tested the Nemotron models.
We're not, listen, just
they were not good. Okay, anyway, sorry.
I got you. They're not the best. But just update. Anything I missed? Good. Folks are shaking their heads. So assuming no. And it's time for us to kickstart the show because we have a lot of open source to talk about. Let's go to open source. Open source AI, let's get it started. Alrighty, folks. It looks like we have another small thing coming in, as almost as a breaking news. Magistral Small from Mistral has released. Thank you for folks in the comments. Magistral, we've talked about Magistral. Magistral is their, Wolfram, remind me, is the reasoning model, right? From Mistral? Yes. Yeah. So it looks like they released Magistral before, but now it looks like they released it as well on Hugging Face. So we're gonna add this. Don't have too many comments though, but like we'll definitely add this to the release. Let's start with like the smaller potatoes. Although I don't know how small this is. I want to talk about Sapient Intelligence for a bit. Sapient Intelligence is a company relatively unknown to me. They released this new concept called Hierarchical Reasoning Model. I don't know if this is marketing or not. They say like introduce a brain-inspired recurrent architecture for reasoning. Two couple models, a high-level planner and a low-level computational model. 27 million parameter model. Execute complete. I will just repeat this like super quick. 27 million parameters. What is nothing? We're talking like, you know, we have models in the trillions now. Like definitely hundreds of billions of parameters. We're going to get to Qwen in a second. 27 million parameters, nothing. Just 1K example without pre-training or chain of thought or chain of thought data. They solve expert level Sudoku puzzles, optimal paths in large mazes. I was very interested in this, folks. 27 million parameters. LDJ, do you want to like give us a sense of how small that is? Because like what? 27
Yeah.
parameters?
I mean, like even in LLMs, or you know, LLMs itself means large language model, but
Yeah.
even like the very lower end of that you could fit on a phone is, you know, like around like 1 billion parameters, maybe even a little bit higher. So, you know, like 1 billion to 27 million, like that's more than 10x smaller than even that. And yeah, I mean, like if you had even the largest GPT-2 model, that was 1.5 billion parameters. I'm not even sure if the smallest GPT-2 was as small as this. But yeah, I think maybe it is worth noting. From what I remember when looking at this paper, they did train on ArcAGI like training examples.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's part of like when they say they trained on like 1,000 examples, that's part of that. But yeah, maybe they did do ablations, but I wish to see like ablations on them doing like that exact training and that exact data on regular models and then comparing that way. Because I'm not sure if they did that. But yeah, either way, this seems interesting, and like everybody's wondering, you know, what do these techniques end up as when you actually scale them up, right? That's the biggest question.
100%. Specifically here, we have they're focusing this model's release on ArcAGI. ArcAGI obviously is the kind of very interesting set of problems that were built to trick language models, but be very, very easy for humans. And we should probably mention ArcAGI 3. The game also were announced like last week, and they are showing with this model with the 27 million parameters. They trained on ArcAGI without chain of thought reasoning, so like without pre-training on reasoning, without pre-training on like hey things step by step. They're getting around what 40% on ArcAGI 1, which is higher than O3 Mini High. I find that quite insane. Like this probably is a dedicated model though, right? So it's a very specific thing for this, like 960 training examples on ArcAGI. But still, it's quite impressive. They also solve Sudoku Extreme. And am I reading this right, LDJ? Like the none of the other models is able to even solve like one?
Yeah, that's well in terms of those 9x9 examples. Yeah, that's what it seems to be saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting. I know for at least ArcAGI for sure, there have been attempts in the past where people tried to make specific models where they even generate like tens of thousands of synthetic examples of ArcAGI puzzles, and even training on that still doesn't get them to the SOTA scores. So at least for ArcAGI here, that's impressive to me, even though they trained on synthetic examples.
Yeah. And so I think the main highlights here is that this is a very tiny model that is showing impressive results on very specific domains like ArcAGI and solving a maze and Sudoku Extreme 9x9 tiles and then also maze hard 30x30 and they show like 74% on this maze compared to O3 Mini High and Claude 3.7 and DeepSeek R1. All of them are getting zeros. I don't remember the last time that I saw an eval comparison quite as this, where one model, specifically with 27 like million parameters, like nothing, runs on basically a toaster. Like this, you don't need a GPU for 27 million parameters. It can run like just basically CPUs. But with frontier models are getting zeros on a task. I've never seen frontier models getting zeros on a task. Well, I've seen some, but they get very obsoleted very quickly. So very interesting from Sapient Intelligence. We may get the folks from Sapient to come and talk to us, but with the no pre-training is very interesting here. All right, so moving on because we have a bunch of stuff to discuss. We want to mention super quick shout out to our friends from News Research. Interstellar Ninja released the Hermes Reasoning Tool Use Dataset. As we all know, some of these models are agentic, and the way they are operating is they call different tools for you as a developer. You specify different tools. This has 51,000 tool calling examples. So examples of like, hey, here's the kind of the function calling, the description. Here's the text that would like invoke this, and here's how a response would look. So this is a great data set to probably run RL on. I'm assuming like huge data set, and then include tool use in JSON mode and reasoning as well, and RL for reinforcement learning. Anything you guys want to mention about this before I move on? Besides the fact that we always celebrate data sets? Go ahead, Lily.
Yeah. Actually, no, never mind. Sorry, I just had something pop up in my head real quick for the Sapient AI thing, but we're already past that, so never mind.
No, you can mention this if it's relevant. I think before I move on, it's fine.
Sure. Okay. So there was a prior paper by someone named Albert Gu, who also worked on Mamba, and he also made something. I think it was called Compress Arc, where it was really interesting. Without any pre-training or anything, they were able to get some somewhat impressive scores in ArcAGI as well, and that is just basically spending a ton of test time compute and just basically training like while doing inference, and it didn't even use any post-training at all, like didn't train on any examples of any kind at all, just only doing training at inference. So yeah, maybe that's something worth looking at for some people.
Alrighty, thank you for that. And folks, I think it's time for us to move to the huge releases this week, which I'm very, very excited to talk through. Our friends from Alibaba Qwen, which we will try and get on the show, have released. First of all, let's talk about the small update. I think Junyang Lin, our friend, just decided to say, hey, this is a small update. 235 billion mixture of experts, A22 active 22 billion parameter. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers here without like showing anything, but this is the full name of this model. Qwen3, 230B, 235B, A22B. So basically, this notation for folks who are listening and are not yet following everything, basically says the whole model, the mixture of experts model, is 235 billion parameters, but then they only operate with like 22 billion active, which means how many experts are loaded in memory. So they already had this model a while ago. We talked to you about Qwen3 6 months ago. I'm having a hard time to remember. Maybe folks can correct me, but like right around probably less than 6 months or 6 months. So, and now this is not even a version update. It's not like 3. I don't know why it's not 3.1. But this model absolutely slaps on benchmarks. It looks like a way bigger upgrade than we kind of were expecting. I don't know why I can't find the tweet. Give me just a second, please.
Here, I'll try finding it too.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Wolfram, you had a chance to test out this model? And
sorry, I didn't find the unmute button. Yeah, I tested it, and I've been using it a lot actually now. Since the release of Kimi, I've been using that in parallel to the big models, and now I've also been using the Qwen models, and it's really excellent. And in my MMU Pro benchmark, it got the top score of all the open weights models. So it's really the best, this model. Yeah, I'm amazed, and it's really, really close now. So imagine if they add the thinking to it back, which was removed in this version. So if they give you a thinking model, that would get even more intelligent. So we would really encroach on the area where only the proprietary models have been this far.
Yeah. Let's talk about some evals, Nistan, if you will.
Yes. Sorry, I'm impatient.
Go ahead.
I tested both this and the coding model on the medical benchmarks, and I was telling a bunch of doctors that are in tech because they wanted to know. The new 235B That has now the highest scoring medical benchmark on MedMCQA out of all the open source models that we know. It's higher than DeepSeek, higher than stuff. That scored a 0.75, and I tested it in FP8. So that was I was running it in FP8, and that scored that's like the highest medical model there is right now. And the coder was not far behind it at all by any means. I first tested the coder, but we'll get to that one.
Yeah, we'll get to the coder. So let me so medical KA high score by far that you've tested. MMLU Pro, Wolfram, you also said like this is the highest that you've tested on open source models. Very, very impressive. Wolfram,
And it was FP8 also.
FP8 also as well. We should test this on FP16 at the full precision, and I will tell you how you can do this in a second. But also, just the main release benchmarks are very impressive, folks. We've seen this before with like new Sonnet, if you remember. They released a version, and then they released like the same kind of version update without mentioning a version upgrade. So like without 3.1. So this is not 3.1. I don't know what they're waiting for. Honestly, it would have been easier for me to differentiate between the two models and Qwen 3.1 235B. But fine, they didn't want to upgrade the version. Don't know why, but here we are, and we see a huge jump in GPQA from 62.9 on the previous Qwen to 77.5 in this one. Now, as Wolfram, as you mentioned, we should mention this like outright, and very interesting to talk about. The previous Qwen 3 was a hybrid thinking model. We got very excited back then because like they were one of the first hybrid thinking models. What does this mean? This means they trained this model to do chain of thought reasoning via reinforcement learning like everybody else, like O3, like other ones. This was a unique one. LDJ, you remember, right? Like you could have mentioned thinking on and off during the inference. Like you could send some tokens while the model kind of processes, it would start to think. The folks at Qwen mentioned on this thread that we've listened, I'm quoting them, yeah? After talking with the community and thinking it through, we decided to stop using hybrid thinking mode. Instead, we'll train instruct and thinking models separately so we can get the best quality possible. That's very surprisingly interesting because back 6 months ago when OpenAI released the kind of like plan going forward, they said we're going to combine models into one hybrid model. We saw this trend after they announced from Qwen in open source. We saw this trend from Anthropic. The new sonnets and opuses are also hybrid reasoning. You can define how much. Gemini as well. You can provide a like thinking budget, right? So we saw this trend like from everywhere. And now we see folks of Qwen that were one of the first ones to say, hey, we're going to do a hybrid. They're pulling back and they're saying, nope, actually, we're going to release a non-reasoning model for you. Now, the thing that I want to mention, for folks who are listening to us and know Maziar Panahi, one of our friends, one of the goats of open source, when he attended the open source symposium from OpenAI before the release model, he specifically mentioned that the feedback from the open source community, from the fine-tuners was, hey, OpenAI, give us access to not only reasoning models, give us access to non-reasoning models as well. If you can't do hybrid so we can turn it off. The folks in open source wanted to turn off reasoning. And it looks like the folks in Qwen also kind of got that feedback. I would like to pose a question here for the audience, for the folks here. Why do you think that is? And we'll also talk about the technical stuff about this model. But I think this is one of the most interesting things because even without reasoning, it gets incredible results. It gets the absolute state-of-the-art 79.2 in Arena Hard compared to Cloud Opus non-thinking and DeepSeek. It gets 70% of BFCL, which is the function calling leaderboard benchmark from Berkeley. It gets 51% on Live Code Bench compared to its previous 32. All of this with not reasoning. LDJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think part of this might be because of the fact that it's being released open sourced, then people end up wanting to use the model for things like continue post-training it on their own data sets and own distributions of data. And I think when you do that from a model that's maybe already post-trained or especially already heavily RL'd and through this reasoning process, then it ends up as something where it can be sometimes harder to train it on your own specific post-training data that you want it to kind of learn very well. And so I think for that reason, a lot of people want the base models to be released, but also something kind of in the middle of that base model and the reasoning, which would just be the regular instruct version.
Yeah. Wolfram, you tested this non-reasoning model on MMLU Pro, which is like a very interesting approach. We'll also see them post MMLU Pro scores here as well, and they compared themselves to Claude Opus, which is a huge model, and definitely they say with not reasoning, but they get 81 on MMLU Pro, 90 on MMLU Redux with non-reasoning. I think it's a very interesting approach. The one thing I mentioned before I'll let you go is that I've seen somewhere, maybe you've seen this as well, that these models output a lot of tokens compared to non-reasoning models. Could be the reason why.
Yeah, so they have more intelligence per token or something like that. And yeah, the score is a bit lower than mine because I was only doing the computer science benchmark part for time reasons. So yeah, but it is amazing. And personally, I would have liked to be able to toggle the reasoning mode. I definitely want reasoning for the tough questions where you need the highest intelligence. But actually, I like GPT-4o is still my main model, and I only use O3 when I know it's a more difficult question, so you have to think about it. And the same applies here. Why would you want to wait for an answer if you know it isn't so difficult that the model has to think a lot? And the tokens it creates, all of that is also relevant.
Yeah.
Not everything is PhD level we are doing.
Not everything that we need is definitely not everything we need is a PhD level as well. Yeah, well, welcome back to the show as well. We're discussing the fact that we're listening in. Yeah, we're discussing the fact that like they turned off reasoning, hybrid reasoning, and now like they are planning to release probably a reasoning model, but also this one is definitely not reasoning on purpose. What do you think about this? What has been some of the comments from where you follow up and your thoughts on the separation back from hybrid?
Look, I think that if you can get a model to perform as good as a reasoning model, there's no point for you to train a reasoning model, and it's slower, it's more expensive for everyone. Reasoning models absolutely help, but you see and start to feel the way they help only when the tasks are hard enough. And I can tell you that 90% of the things, even I use, and I do cutting edge stuff, but even 90% of the things I use LLMs for are pretty trivial, kind of saving my time kind of way, and not exactly pushing towards extremely pushing the edge and so on. Wolfram, you mentioned O3, and this is good. This is a good thing to mention because O3 has also access to the internet and tools and so on, and definitely the reasoning helps with this because multiple steps and so on. I think it's good. I think it's good that we have two classes and people are still pushing the non-reasoning models because it's far easier not to do it, and it's absolutely amazing to see Qwen getting to these results without even using reasoning models, and it's amazing to see, in my opinion.
I think we may have a chance to ask the folks themselves as Junyang is tuning in. I think he said he may be able to do only voice and not hop on video, but Junyang, welcome to join. Let's see if we can hear Junyang, and folks on the video, please let me know if you can hear him. Let's see.
Yeah, everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, there he is. What's up,
Yep,
Junyang?
I can hear him too.
Yay!
Happy to meet you guys. I'm in the car, so I can just only use audio.
It's all good. We can hear you loud and clear. Folks, we have Junyang Lin from Alibaba Qwen, the team that ships and ships and ships and doesn't sleep. Junyang, I saw you, and I was looking at the local time for you when you were like doing some socials. It was like 5 a.m. I was like, dude does not sleep. So first of all,
it was a bit late. Yeah,
a little bit.
There are some problems happening before our release, so we will stay very late.
So first of all, congratulations on yet another release. You guys just released the Qwen translator models, Qwen3-MT. But before we get there, we still haven't even talked about Coder, and hopefully you have around 5-10 minutes with us. We want to chat with you about the upgraded A22B. We have a few questions. We were talking about, you're probably listening in, we were talking about your guys' decision to listen to your community and remove the kind of the reasoning, the hybrid, and release a non-reasoning model specifically. And yet this non-reasoning model, compared to other big models without the reasoning, is beating them significantly on multiple things, including reasoning. Could you speak a little bit about the feedback from the community you got and kind of this decision on remove the hybrid?
Yeah, it's a hard choice. When we just released Qwen3, we were proud of our hybrid model, but after a period of time, we got a lot of feedback of bad responses from our models. They just said that, well, the thinking model and the non-thinking model, they have some conflicts, and sometimes they feel that the model did not achieve its best performance. So I sent a vote in X to see that, well, whether our models can perform better, what would you like to have? A lot of developers said, well, never mind, I can have hybrid, I can separate, it's okay. But a lot of developers or our customers, in Alibaba Cloud, they just said, wow, I would like a good non-thinking model. Your hybrid thinking model has a lot of faults. Well, it does not perform in some tasks, even worse than Qwen 2.5 or something like that. So we made a hard choice to see that whether we can achieve the best performance with our efforts in non-reasoning and reasoning models. And as to the performance, we actually still would like the model to be very automatic in thinking and non-thinking. For example, you actually would not like to have two models. You would like to have a hybrid model, but our hybrid model asks the users to see that whether you just turn on thinking and turn off thinking, but maybe the best way is to let the model to think while it is necessary. So we just build this non-reasoning model. So if you find that if you ask really hard questions, well, it will just like doing chain of thought.
It will just do chain of thought kind of built in?
It answers the question. But if you ask it simple, yeah, yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's all good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ask them very simple questions, it will gives you the direct answers. So it's a bit like automatic. So this is a good non-reasoning model, and we have fixed a lot of problems like knowledge and retrieval, things like that. Yeah. So the general performance will become much better than the previous Qwen3 235 billion. And as to the naming, and I just
this is my next question. Let me jump in here super quick, just to give you like maybe a little pause. The naming. Junyang, the naming. When I talk to people inside Core, when we need to put up this model, I have to tell them like the whole string, like Qwen3, 265, etc. Blah, 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 A22, 27, 2507. First of all, 2507 didn't come yet. So were you guys supposed to release this like tomorrow? But also the next thing is
the year. It's a year.
It's
month.
a year. I thought it was like a day and a month. But also the question is, why not like Qwen 3.1, for example? Did you guys not think that this jump in capabilities is like strong enough to get like a new mini version?
Yeah, I had a lot of hesitations about the naming, and we talked internally quite a lot, and we had a lot of arguing. But the problem is, if you have 3.1, so where is 2.1? Where is 1.1?
That's true.
And then when you have 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and then you just jump to 4, well, it is something like a little bit strange, just like Claude 3.5 and then 3.6, 3.7. Well, there's something a little bit strange. So we decided to follow DeepSeek. DeepSeek's naming is actually clear. It is using 0324 or 0528, things like that. But I think that we might not release two versions in 1 month, so I can just use year and month. So I just use 2507. Yeah.
It shows how out of the loop I am with the naming. I was sure that this is a date and month, and I was like, what is going to happen on the 25th of July?
No, this is just year and month. Yeah.
Year and month. Okay, so you're not going to release 2 models in 1 month. At least that's what we see. Okay, folks, any questions to Junyang before we talk about the coder model, which I'm very, very excited to talk about? Any questions about the A22, the update, the thoughts there?
I don't have a question. I'm amazed. It's such an amazing model, and finally, yeah, I'm happy that Qwen has become my main model again after a while. So, well done. Big kudos.
Yeah,
Applause.
thanks for the appreciation. Yeah.
Yeah, send huge kudos from us to the team about this incredible release. The competition is cutthroat. Junyang, just a week before you guys, Kimi was released, and that was beating the previous Sweetbench verified kind of like open source model, and you guys beat that even still. I think 62 or something. I also wanted to highlight that you guys released results with a on Sweetbench verified specifically with the harness from OpenHands. Obviously, you were like a little bit, maybe not a little bit involved, so you guys know the OpenHands folks as well. But I wanted to call out kind of that approach as well of how do you guys approach which evaluations, which benchmarks you guys are releasing. Wait, sorry, I'm confusing. The OpenHands is the coder model. See, this is all over the place. But yeah, anything else you want to mention about the 22 before we move on to the coder, Junyang?
Yeah, maybe no more. I would like to see the audience feedback about our models. This time we are more confident, but there might be some problems we need to fix. Just let us know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I could add one thing because I noticed that the German isn't as good as I'm used from 4, for example. But the same thing happened with Grok 4. So the smart models that are doing very well in the benchmark, at least in German, I noticed some issues there. So despite, of course, you are probably using better data by now.
Yeah, maybe in the next version, because we for multilingual performance, we need to improve our pre-training. This time we just do slight improvement in our pre-training, but for multilingual performance, we might need to invest more data, like German data, into our pre-training. Maybe next version. Yeah.
Also, what's sorry, I have some feedback on my speakers. Was 2507? Was this a new pre-train, or was this continued pre-training from the older one?
It's just continuous pre-training. We just train the annealing stage of the pre-training to make it better, and then we change the whole recipe of our post-training. Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. I think we do want to continue because this is the first thing that you released, and then you guys, I think, surprised everyone with the upgraded release. So let's mention this. So, folks, Junyang, maybe you want to talk about the release yourself. So you announced this. I have it up on the screen, but feel free to talk about the Qwen3-Coder and what is interesting about this release.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are interested in Qwen3-Coder. We have been building Qwen3-Coder for months, and these guys are doing a great effort in building this coding-specific models. Because we think that if we would like to merge it into our large language model, is this still a bit hard for us to achieve the best performance? So we would like to build a specialized coding models, just like we said in our blog. We had a lot of data, coding-specific data, merge our general text data into the coding pre-training. But this time we have improved quite a lot in our post-training for coding, including we have covered a lot of tasks. And this time we have done reinforcement learning for coding performance. So you will find that it is generalizable to a lot of coding tasks. And specifically, we focus on coding agents. So you will find that our performance in Sweetbench is actually good. And we would like to test it in an open way, so you can use OpenHands to reproduce our results, and the performance is generally good. I think for Sweetbench, performance is competitive with Cloud Sonnet 3.7 or 4. Yeah, but we still need some feedback about coding performance to be whether it is really competitive with Cloud Sonnet 4. I think it is a little bit below, but the gap might not be that far. We might have some gaps in some tasks that we might not notice, but in general performance, we're confident in the Qwen3-Coder. And if you check Open Router, you will find that the use of tokens are increasing drastically for Qwen3-Coder.
Yeah, I want to get to that. I want to show this on stage. The graph is absolutely insane on Open Router. I saw you post this. I want to give some technical details about the model first, and then we can chat about them. So first of all, just size-wise, this is Qwen3-Coder, 480 billion parameters, a mixture of experts, with 35 active billion parameters. It's an instruct model. I don't know if you guys released the base one or not, but this is an instruct model, great for coding. It's a mixture of experts with 256 token context, extendable to 1 million. Junyang, is this right that on your API, you guys are getting 1 million context window?
Oh yeah, we are giving 1 million tokens context window. Yeah, with our API. Yeah, it is trained with 256,000 tokens data. The context length is up to 256,000, and it can be extrapolated to 1 million tokens. So we just provide the API of 1 million token context.
That is incredible. Incredible also because I've seen how much like our folks like have an interesting time to put up this model. It's obviously, it supports tool calling and all of these things. The model has been trained on 7.5 trillion tokens. Junyang, you want to talk about the ratio? You guys said like 70% code ratio, right?
Yeah, we still need to mix the general data because you cannot just invest all the coding data into it. So we just invest 30% of the general text data from our Qwen3 pre-training data to merge it together and train the coding. But it is actually based on our Qwen3 based large language model. So it is not totally trained from scratch. So it has been trained with a large amount of text tokens and then use this 7.5 trillion coding merged text tokens for the pre-training. Yeah.
One additional thing that was standing out to me is the RL, the reinforcement learning fine-tuning with the 20,000 parallel environments. Could you talk about this? What that means and like what you guys do to get to this quite level?
Yeah, I didn't get the question. I didn't hear it.
In my research, one of the things that stood out to me is the reinforcement learning fine-tuning that you guys did on this model as well, with like something parallel environments. Could you speak about the reinforcement learning that helped to get this model to this quality? Because this is also not a reasoning model. This is just a prediction model, right?
Yeah, it is not a reasoning model. Because we think that for the first step, we need to train and instruct models. And especially for coding agent tasks, you actually do not need a thinking model. It would be really, really horrible. For example, in a multi-turn environment, if you think and then do the execution, wow, that would cost you a lot of tokens. Yeah, for the reinforcement learning, because we have a lot of coding tasks for the reinforcement learning, so we need the environment for the training, especially for the coding agent task. For example, if it is a multi-turn reinforcement learning, so you need to interact with the environment and get the environment feedback during your rollout process. So we need to interact with the environment. So it is just like maybe in the future, like the agent RL, you need to interact with the environment throughout your rollout process. Yeah, this is what we meant. Yep.
So could you speak a little bit to this? So you basically have like sandboxed environments for the model to kind of just like see the results, the outputs of the code, and kind of train on that?
Yeah, for reinforcement learning, you have a rollout process, and then after your rollout, you get the reward to train the model. For example, if you train traditional like coding like competition problems, so you just need to write the solution and to see that whether it is it can pass the test cases. So this is more like a little bit traditional reinforcement learning, but in the agent RL, so you need to interact with the environment. So, well, for example, in a multi-turn session, so you need to like write some code and then send it to the sandbox to execute the code. Well, maybe it has some errors, and then you get the errors, and then you do the next step for the decision and to write some more codes, and then you interact with the sandbox with the environment. Yeah, until you get the final result to see that, well, whether what your reward is, and then this is reinforcement learning to interact with the environment.
And
this is what we are doing. Yeah.
And this resulted in some very, very impressive benchmarks compared to other models that we just celebrated a couple of weeks ago. So you guys released this like very cool looking dark chart with Qwen3-Coder, which we also should mention the Qwen3-Code. A little bit of confusing naming. Qwen3-Coder is the model, Qwen3-Coder, and then Qwen3-Code is the CLI tooling. But let's talk about the model results. We have some impressive results that at some points even beat Claude Sonnet 4, Junyang, like you said. So we see Swebench verified with OpenHands, which I really love. Like we should mention again, OpenHands is an open source harness for agentic harness to run multiple things. They've been on top of the Swebench verified multiple times, and they always show kind of the state-of-the-art open source models. So it's incredible that you guys released the model plus the harness to go and kind of verify your results on Swebench verified. And for 500 turns, you get 69.6 on the Swebench verified, which is just incredible to see. Folks, we've seen Swebench verified state-of-the-art open source models jump by 10 points from week to week. Right before Kimi, we had I think it was Mistral. I don't even remember it moved so fast. And then we had Kimi with like the best open source, and now we have you guys beating like with 69%. Claude Sonnet 4 with the same harness, I'm assuming, gets 70.4. So very, very close to Claude Sonnet 4. Also, I see Aider Polyglot with the absolutely higher score. Junyang, you want to talk about Aider and how that like benchmark is? Why is that important? This model gets 61.8 on Aider, higher than anything else in the table, higher than the Kimi, higher than Claude Sonnet 4. Would you talk about Aider and why that like specific benchmark and why is it interesting?
We actually did not pay too much attention to Ada Polyglot. We think the problems might not that perfect, but it's a good benchmark for the evaluation, and we just reported it. We focus more on Swebench and Terminal Bench. This time we have good performance in Terminal Bench, so we have more confidence in our Qwen because it can perform better than our previous models in the terminal setup. We did not focus too much on Aider, actually.
Awesome. All right, Nistan, go
ahead. Funny enough, I tested the coding model on medical performance, and it scored as one of the highest open source ones, just as high as DeepSeek v3, which was the. Is this a sign of things to come with the non-coding one? Because this was pretty surprising to me, considering it's a coding model. And I tested the 235B, and that one got 2% higher. But is this pre-training? Is this something else? You're going to release a generalist at this size later on? Is that the plan? And what's going on with the pre-training of that data? Because it's scoring well in non-coding tasks.
Yeah, actually, when we train we call it a specialized model. We call it a coder, but internally we require our builders to build a model that is almost as good as the large language models. You cannot make the performance drop in the large language model. So this is why we still merge general text data in our pre-training, and we also merge general text data in our post-training as well. So you'll find that the performance drop in comparison with like Qwen3 to 35 billion, it's not that large. So this will facilitate us merging our coder into our large language model. Maybe later you will find that we have a single large language model, but it is really good at coding, but also very good at general tasks. And we find that this coder has something surprise us. Maybe a little bit better than the general large language model is that, well, its knowledge coverage is generally good. We just found that our large language model it's not that good in the knowledge about game, but the coder model is even better in game. I don't know why, but it actually happened. So we try to make it good in general language performance.
So I wanna shout out that the community really wants this model. And Junyang, as you showed, and I'm like showing the same kind of tweet from OpenRouter right now, that 50 billion tokens in the last 2 days on Alibaba Qwen models. I think those are both models together. It's like the usage is quite impressive on OpenRouter. OpenRouter traces like which models are getting used and what. I think it helps when you guys provide a 1 million context window, but it's quite incredible how you guys obviously serve this model on API. Have you guys seen a surprising kind of? Were you surprised by the excitement from this model, by the usage for folks, by the demand?
We were actually not that surprised about the demand because we just know that people are expecting our coder models because in my tweets, people are just talking about Qwen3-Coder, Qwen3-Coder, Qwen3-Coder. When in Bingyuan's tweet, they just asked Qwen3-Coder every day. So I think there are a lot of people expecting it. But there are some problems coming into our APIs because for the API that is supporting such a long context, and if you check our pricing, you will find that if your context is longer, it will be more expensive. But sometimes the users cannot take this. They will think that why the context is so long using your Qwen code, why it costs so many tokens. This is out of their expectations. So we need to solve the problem, tell them why, and we try to improve our Qwen code to see that how to help them reduce the cost. Yeah, there are a lot of surprising things, but for the increasing, it is actually consistent with our expectation. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, folks, we have a few time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. LDJ go, and then Wolfram, and then we'll let Junyang let us know about another model they released today about translation, and then mindful of his time being very late, we'll let him go and continue. Go ahead, LDJ.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, the benchmark score is showing up for Sonnet 4 in that the chart with Qwen3-Coder. Is that reasoning or non-reasoning scores for Sonnet 4? I think it's non-reasoning, but just want to be sure.
It is totally non-reasoning. Yeah.
Okay.
We just don't think reasoning models are that important for coding specific models, because reasoning models can increase the performance in competition problems. Like it is just like an IOI contester, just like that. It is good for IOI contests, but it might not be that good for coding agents. So we just build a non-reasoning model first. If we have some more time and some more budget to build, we can try building a reasoning model, but I think it is not that important as this non-reasoning model. Yeah.
Alrighty, and then Wolfram, you also had some thoughts as well?
Yeah, I would like to know if you plan to release different sizes, because that was a big strength of Qwen. I think that it was always available in various sizes for various VRAM capacities in systems. So is that also planned, or are you going more towards huge models?
So you mean that are we going to release smaller models? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are updating the big one, are you going to make smaller versions as well available like you used to do?
I'm not pretty sure about that because our focus is on building the large models. If we build the large models and you achieve the best performance, maybe that's something that people really care. I know small models are good for local developers, but we focus more on increasing the best performance. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that seems to be a trend. We have seen it with Meta and others. So yeah, okay, just wanted to know.
Alrighty,
Thank you.
Yam, you want to finish us off?
Yeah, it's not a question, but I just want to say what everybody is thinking right now. You guys are on track to outperform the big labs with open source. You are really on track, and we all see it, and it's exciting. It's exciting. You guys are pushing and leading, constantly leading for, I think, 2 years at this point, and it's exciting to see this moment that I don't know, open weights models are on par with closed frontier labs, and it's amazing to see. And thank you all for your releases. I think I speak on behalf of the entire internet, but yeah, thank you all.
Yeah, many thanks to you. Yeah, that's quite a good appreciation. We for these 2 months we did not release anything, and Qwen3 models may be a little bit lagging behind the new release models, and this time we're a little bit like coming back with new models, so we will provide better models. Yeah.
More than a little bit, Junyang, more than a little bit. Let's give you a round of applause for you guys and the whole team. Please tell them they always, we are very excited to host you as well as the rest of the Qwen team. We're very excited when the models get released. I was very excited also to like put the Qwen3 A22B, the new one, and also the Qwen3-Coder on the Inference WNB core wave as well. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Junyang, thank you so much for joining us. I will mention one last thing that we kind of barely didn't mention specifically. The Qwen3-Coder model beats the Kimi K2 that just came out a week ago for the state-of-the-art in Sweep Bench Verified, while being half the parameters. So Kimi is 1 trillion, this one is 480 billion, half the parameters, and it beats that performance, and it's less active parameters as well. Very impressive. Junyang, thank you so much for joining us. We know it's late over there. We're gonna let you go. But please let us know about any other releases. Folks should definitely give Junyang a follow because he is the guy who always like sends when the new releases are coming, including today's release of the translation model that we didn't get the chance to chat with yet. Alrighty, folks, this is it for our open source. As you heard directly from the man himself, from the Alibaba Qwen, Junyang Lin, a friend of the pod, and always is great pleasure to have him on to chat about their models, releases, and get questions from the folks in the audience as well. And as this kind of quarter ends, we'll move to this week's boss just a little bit. But now we have another friend of the pod who joined us again, not for the first or second time. We want to say hi to Joseph Nelson, co-founder, CEO of RoboFlow. This time you have a small announcement as well, but also you're here to talk about something that happened in the world of, we will say, politics. So Joseph, you reached out to me, which I really appreciate, folks. If you were mutuals and you're like Joseph, you come to the pod and you want to talk about something and you reach out to me, I'll definitely find a spot for you, especially if it's something as big as this. So Joseph, what is it that you wanted to talk to me about today?
Two things. So the one is, as you mentioned yesterday, the White House announced their AI plan, and you and I were going back and forth on Twitter because I was there as they made a lot of the announcements, and I can give you maybe some thought of like what the feeling was of folks that were also there. But maybe I'll start with the second thing because it's more related to open source. You said open source is over. In fact, new SOTA model, best in the world, object detection on the edge, RF data release, 3 new model sizes out today. So we released RF data. It was the first real-time model to beat 60 mean average precision on COCO. So Papers with Code defines real-time as 25 FPS. We released that in March, and people were like, this is cool. We like this. Can we get a smaller one? And so we're like, yeah, let us cook. And so now we're back and we're saying, here's RF data nano, RF data small, and RF data medium, all of which are Pareto optimal for accuracy and speed, and Apache 2. And so for the uninitiated, the thought is, that's fun. That's really fun. I forgot about the clapping.
When Apache 2 is mentioned, we all get very, very excited. Apache 2 RF data is a model that you guys are trained in-house after you've been using multiple like other open source models. You've been on to talk about RF data before, and now, so 3 new sizes?
Yeah, 3 new sizes, nano, small, and medium. Large and XL, we still think we can push even further, so probably can stay tuned for more releases from us to not bury the lead at all. For maybe the uninitiated, like the thing that we, the story of RF data, at NeurIPS last year, we gave sort of like a state of the union in computer vision. We're like, hey, here's what's going on in computer vision land. Transformers, which have done a great job of understanding sequences and text, which is natural for understanding all things language. Have done a great job in vision transformer for like classification tasks of images, but are still not super good at spatial reasoning. And so we showed some examples where there had been work from, RT data, real-time data, and from LW data of making transformers run like a little bit faster and a little bit more accurate. And you had these models come out, like CoData, which is slow and really accurate. And you had like RT data come out, which was like fast and not as accurate compared to state of the art. And at NeurIPS, we were like, man, someone should really combine together those capabilities. Like someone should do that. And so then March rolled around and we're like, I guess, best way to solve a problem is go ahead and do it. And then, as I said, once we released those models, we saw really positive feedback. A lot of the real-time models in Vision World sometimes use YOLO, which there's now a new family of YOLO models, which are GPL or AGPL. And so there's been a request of, hey, can we get MIT and Apache licensed weights models for real-time performance? And that's what was the motivation of continuing to drive development of RFDetter. And when we say state of the art, we mean both on CoCo, which is a benchmark that hasn't been updated since 2017.
Yeah, CoCo is a bit old at this point. Yeah,
it's a bit old. So we introduced another benchmark called RF100VL. We introduced it at CVPR this year. And basically what it is when folks can build a data set and a model on RoboFlow, they can choose to open source their data set. And so RoboFlow kind of becomes a place that's like a natural sample of how people are building and using computer vision. Maybe they're doing like aerial stuff. Maybe they're doing like document scanning. Maybe they're like doing medical image work. And we basically took a basket of those data sets, 100 of them, and pulled them together and made a benchmark called RoboFlow 100 Vision Language. And it basically measures how well does your model do in context where you actually want to use it. So it's almost like the anti-CoCo. Like CoCo is useful for people and pets and common objects. And then RFDetter is like, RF100 is like, what about everything else? And so we benchmark all models now on both CoCo and RF100VL because we've seen that anytime there's a benchmark that introduced, it gets benchmark hacked and saturated, and some of that's happened with CoCo since 2017.
Yeah.
So that's
congrats on the release. Also, I've seen that the way to use some of these models is in the also maintained by you supervision library, and that's been blowing up as well. So shout out to also a friend of ours, Piotr, for keep maintaining this. It got almost to 30K stars. So congrats on the news. It's great to have you both release something and announce here on stage with Apache 2 as always. Yeah, folks should definitely check it out. It's definitely the top of the line in Vision. Moving on to part 2 of why I wanted to chat with you. So folks, for folks who may be not as in the news as kind of like we are, White House, when they joined, they announced a new AI TAR, David Sachs, previous podcaster, and I think even current podcaster, because the whole podcast joined to talk about this new American Action Plan on stage. The White House, basically with him and Sriram Krisham, previously from A16Z, who helps, and some other folks, they have worked really hard since they were not appointed there. They released finally America's AI Action Plan. It's a 25-page strategy doc. Action plan aimed at securing U.S. dominance in artificial intelligence. As we've seen previously before, we see open source catching up to frontier labs. We see a lot of frontier labs still U.S. based, but a lot of open source just week after week after week, sweeping waves of incredible open source coming out of China. And this is their action plan to kind of either try to catch up or figure out what to do about this. Framed as a national priority comparable to the space race and Cold War, the plan sets out 90 policy proposals spanning deregulation, infrastructure, and open source leadership, which we obviously love to hear, open source leadership. Joseph, generally, thoughts on this? You were there. How did that happen? And what's going on? And tell us a little bit about your feelings in the room from this.
Yeah, some context of our connection to this madness. So the as you mentioned, Sriram from A16Z has been working on the AI plan. And then someone else that's been working on the AI plan is David Sachs, who was at Craft Ventures previously. And Sachs and I have worked together. He was on my board for 3.5 years. And then when he took his position, he had to release himself of all boards. And so what's actually kind of encouraging is, he invested in RoboFlow in 2020 before open source AI was maybe as known as a priority. And so to have someone like that shaping policy is actually pretty encouraging for the open source community. And so I did the work of reading the 28-page plan and trying to distill down some things like what does it really mean for us, and what does all this sort of net out to be. I think one of the points that basically they're kind of there's 3 things they care about. They want more data centers. They want better models and things proliferated. And they want to have an open ecosystem. And the report actually, one point that really stands out to me that's exciting is it calls for an explicit increase of open source and open weight models. And part of the thought is if American companies are investing more in open source AI, then you sort of get like the reason Facebook open source reacts, where more folks are familiar with that paradigm and way of building and so forth. And so when you have an economy as large as America is like pointing a lot of its energy at an initiative like AI, I think we can expect to get a lot more models a lot more quickly. The other thing is the data center part of it, like the investment that's being put into building more data centers, getting more power generation online, and like expediting permitting, I think will help with just the overall AI build out. So people will be able to build, train, and serve models in a bigger way. Maybe to give you like some thoughts on the like what's in the room thing. That was the first Trump speech that I've ever seen end to end. Okay, like I'd never seen like a Trump speech from start to finish. I'd only ever seen like the clips on X and stuff like this that like float, and it is an experience. So like he'll kind of like go on like talking like with the teleprompter, the things that he's supposed to say, and he just kind of gets locked in on a thing and just kind of riffs for a while. So for example, at one point he's like, I heard of this guy and his company, NVIDIA, and they said that he has 100% of hardware sales. And I said, oh, we gotta break that thing up. Like, what's going on with that? Someone that has 100%, we gotta break that up. Jensen's in the room, seated at the front. Camera's like kind of panned to him. He's just kind of like stone faced, like sort of smiling, like, where's this kind of gonna go? And then Trump's like, but then I sort of looked at it a bit more and they said, if Jensen were incompetent for 10 years, no one would still catch him. Seems like it'd be too hard to break it up. And I said, on to the next. And I was like, the president of the United States just like openly is like, yeah, there might be a monopoly here. I don't know, but seems strategically important. On to the next. And what's really funny, I can put this tweet in the chat. Someone sent me a clip of like that moment. And at the end of it, they panned to people that are laughing in the audience. And they panned to me because I'm like losing. Nice. like are you serious? Like, is this? I was like, is everyone else hearing this? Is this what's going on right now? But overall, I mean, I think what it means for things I care a lot about, like better models, open weight models, better capabilities, is I think it's overall like pretty good news. And it's actually pretty encouraging that the world's largest economy is pointing so much of its effort at what is the technology of our lifetimes to build it better and more quickly.
We absolutely should kind of pause for a second here and discuss that. Like, this is the government. They're not known for like all of these like Sapient Intelligence. I don't know what they're called. Like these folks are not known to like adopt Microsoft Word as fast as like, and the AI is catching up super quick. For many of them, this is like a very, very, very foreign concept. And this is maybe one of the outcomes of like announcing that folks like David Sachs who's like been involved in a lot of this, Shriram Krishan definitely from A16Z, like a bunch of other folks are driving this policy. It's incredible. And the fact that we're not getting closed, we're scared of AI, let's not move, moratorium, like bullshit that we were against here like before. And instead we're getting EAC type of posts like, hey, let's go and open source and we shouldn't be afraid. It's incredible. It's incredible because they are obviously seeing what's happening from across the world. Open source absolutely wins. People get like drawn to the open source stuff, and the bigger companies are getting pressured as well. OpenAI is getting pressure to do some open source. At some point, very soon, hopefully, we're going to see this from OpenAI as well. We see NVIDIA leading the charge absolutely. Like nobody can train models. Some people trying. So it's great to see Jensen just like unannounced show up as well and talk about this. Joseph, what did were you there for Jensen's kind of segment? What did Jensen kind of have to say about like this whole thing?
He so they had both Lisa, CEO of AMD, and then they had Jensen go right after her. And their visions for the future and how pointed Jensen is of opinionated about physical AI and the future potential is nothing short of like awe-inspiring. AMD's perspective was one of like, hey, maybe we're gonna get specialized chips for inference versus training, and versus like even given domains, like maybe biological inference will have its own type of specialization. So that was kind of an interesting point. But I think the power of the administration to bring such a group of people together on relatively short notice, frankly, to discuss and be invested in what I think is a really important initiative is, you said it, like to have have it's like usually you kind of ignore politics because it doesn't apply to you, and it's like, oh my gosh, like the thing that we care about is in the spotlight. Like it's a pretty
it's in the
pretty
spotlight,
crazy.
but also it's kind of aligned with how we see the world and how we see the world
That's right.
on Thursday. Like for all this time, we celebrate open source. We still have the claps when you say Apache 2. We know that this improves innovation across everybody and also leads to collaboration. Like many folks use the Chinese model and then fine tune and then like get incredible results. Definitely a few more things to shout out there. Just a few days, I had this tweet of like, why is everybody flexing their data centers? Because like this policy outlines fast tracks permitting for new data centers, cheap fabrication plants, and energy infrastructure, which is very, very much lacking. There's this graph that went viral where Chinese like in energy buildouts and how much they will spend on energy in the upcoming decade, and US is kind of like lagging behind, and that's absolutely something that's critical for data centers. Like all of these data centers like just guzzling energy, and so I just wanted to show this just a few days before, obviously knowing that this is going to happen. All the three major players just announced like incredible, huge more plans to talk about and expand their data centers. Elon Musk said 230K GPUs, including 30,000 GB200s, are operational in single cluster. At Colossus 2, which is the next one, the first batch of 550,000 GB200s, also for training, start going online in a few weeks. 550,000 GB200s. It's just like mind-boggling how much like energy they will need for this. Just like within a span of like a day or less than a day, Zuckerberg said Meta will build out the data center the size of Manhattan in latest AI push. He already mentioned the size of Manhattan. I find it very interesting. Elon talks numbers, Zach talks like scale in just like the physical world, but just like it puts in context for people. Manhattan, they've been to Manhattan. They took the subway from one end to another end. They see like just just Central Park is huge, but the whole of Manhattan, that's the type of data centers that they're going to build. And also Sam Altman also said, we have signed a deal for an additional 4.5 gigawatts of capacity with Oracle as part of Stargate. Easy to throw numbers, but this is a gigantic infrastructure project, and they show a photo from Abilene, Texas, of this incredible build out. And I'm assuming that some of the recommendations in this like AI action plan that like removes regulation and fast tracking approval for data centers is kind of connected to these folks are just like everybody flexing their like giga centers, and just incredible to see how much the scaling longs will continue.
I think something else this is really good for is company creation, because there's so many parts of the plan that call for things that aren't solved yet. So for example, like better eval systems or acceleration within DoD or acceleration within government use. And it's kind of like hey, here's like exactly where there's going to be tens of billions of dollars flowing for these products, for these needs. It's like almost a request for startups in some ways in portions of the document. And so I think that's also like a encouraging, like money where your mouth is to try to build new things.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think that we definitely mentioned this. We should celebrate that this is the position the administration takes, because this is very aligned with how we see the world and against closed source and showing open source like in highlight. Folks on the stage, any comments as well? Not all of us here Americans. There's some Canadians, some Germans, some Israeli folks. How folks outside of the US see this? Wolfram, maybe you want to take this one, given that you're in the EU and the EU is definitely not launching AI plans like this.
I think we are not in the race. But of course, if two parties are racing for something and it's open source, then everybody profits. And I think that is very important because AI has a huge impact, not just on any country, but the whole world. And there are so many people who are outside of the loop and can't even use it. And we just have to look at the conflict areas where the people are suffering. So I do hope that in the end, AI will help us all to elevate humanity to another level where it's not just different countries trying to stay ahead, but everybody moving ahead, and we build the starships and go Star Trekking or something like that.
Yep. Who else wants to take a stab at this? Folks, feel free to unmute and give us some comments before we move on to the next point on our agenda.
Yeah. You mentioned about smaller startups. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because it sounds like this is opening up a whole ecosystem of niches that can be filled in. And it's like I don't know, in biology books, there's the whole tree and the bird is there, and here and it's like the whole empty tree just opened up. Yeah, can you go a bit further into that? Is what they'll enable?
Absolutely. There's a couple of places that they call out making active investment and requesting for open product needs. So for example, on the active investment side, in the US, there's pretty robust financial infrastructure to fund small businesses, to fund science and research, to fund and provide preferential financing for build-outs. So for example, there's a portion that's dedicated that says explicitly the DoD, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, and the Small Business Administration through a vehicle called a SBIR, which is like a small business investment, I think, research grant, should invest and put loans into frontier AI capabilities. And then there's places where it outlines the type of capabilities they want, which are like manufacturing, model evaluation, certainly data center build outs, use of models inside government to make government more efficient, use of models inside defense for national interest. And so I think what that will precipitate is both like new formation, but then like even existing new product releases. Maybe there's AI companies currently that like have written government off that now are like, oh great, like here's a new market for us to invest in, which I think will could be good. So I think there's a lot of places where I don't know, like the government's maybe not the best picker, but if the right sort of people find and discover the grant, there could be some pretty awesome new companies that get built.
Alrighty. So generally, very, very happy with the direction. We'll see how much this improves. Some other things that we didn't mention: tightening of export controls, and some more things to make sure that like this actually happens with some like location tracking. I wasn't sure about this thing, but definitely open source and data sets were highlighted there. I'm very, very, very happy. Joseph, thank you so much for joining, for sharing your experience from in the room with us, but also like your thoughts about this whole thing. Also, congrats on the start of models. Folks definitely should go and check out RoboFlow models, DF. Debtor, etc. As we are moving forward, we do want to get to the point of this week's buzz, where we're going to talk to you about also Qwen models. So stay tuned with us. And afterwards, we're going to tell you about the new text-to-speech bomb and a few coding tools as well. Hopefully, we'll get to some models as well. Joseph, thank you so much. And folks, we're moving towards this week's buzz. Welcome to this week's buzz for Thursday, July 24th. And this week's buzz is the corner, of course, where I talk about what happened in the world of this of weights and biases from CoreWeave. And this week, some very, very exciting things has happened. As I told you last week, as we announced a little bit before, maybe a month ago, we're no longer GPU poor. We're in the inference game right now because CoreWeave the weights and biases joined forces. And now we have this product called WNB Inference. We are the brand new kid on the block in the inference services. So shout out to friends of ours who've been here for a while that we mentioned multiple times. We have Grok and Cerebrus and just tons of folks. Sambano, we had like all these folks, and Together AI and Lightning and Fireworks. There's so many folks. The reason why we're stepping in is because we feel we can give you a comprehensive solution from tracing your LLM models to evaluating them to also inference them. Of course, WNB models itself is the tool that people use to train these models. So you can go basically from metal to inference in one holistic platform. As we build out this platform, we're very happy for folks to kind of enjoy our very, very cutthroat prices. And this week, I specifically am now part of the model release team. I'm very, very happy that we've identified super quick, and we didn't have any before knowledge from Junyang, even though he's a friend. We identified super quick that the Qwen models are going to be a big hit, and so we worked really, really hard to do day one release of the new models on the WNB Weights Inference platform. So Qwen3 A22B 2507 and the Qwen3-Coder 480 billion parameter A35B are both available on our platform. I'm very, very happy to say that as of today, this morning, we also fully fully support tool use in these models as well. And we have collaborated yet again with some of our co-hosts here to test it out and tell you guys about the model itself, but also the inference service. Nistan, I believe that you have something for us. You've been playing with the model, but also you've been playing with the inference service.
Yeah, I'm gonna brag about it. I was the first to get it working in Klein with the weights and bias config. So I was pretty happy that nobody else was using it while I was using it, because it was just ripping, dude. So I do use Grok inference a lot, and that one is faster on smaller things, but when you go to larger contexts, and with Qwen, you can just set the context to 261. Okay, so it's 256, 261K. That's what the doubling adds up to, and it just rips. So at the longer context, because I don't know what GPUs you guys have, but it actually performs a little bit better than Grok. If there's nobody else using it. Yeah, it was, I gave it the whole app. It's an Expo app, and it was going through my app. I actually want to do something from the audience now. So here I'm just running, I use Arch, by the way. I came on the stream to just say that. So I am just, so the way I configured it was you just download Klein. So you can use Klein with the, so Klein, you can just go and download it, and you just go, I think it's Klein.bot, Klein.bot, I believe. And once you get Klein, you can add it to, VS Code. You can add it to VS Codium, which is open source VS Code, which is what I use. And here I just started a random React app. And to configure it, it's the other cool thing that most people don't realize is that you can configure Klein with your current Claude code that you have, or you can just use any VLLM compatible API. So if you have a local one, you can just put your local host here and just use it. And the only thing about weights and biases is that it needed custom headers. So Loboto Llama is mine and Austin's project from a while ago. And then you can also set, so I've set the context to 128 just to save up a bit on tokens, but you can set it up higher. And I just set up a very plain React app with Bun. And I just want some suggestions from you guys. This is completely live. This is unplanned. What should we make? Just tell me something.
The regular one is to do, but to do is kind of boring. Maybe a Tetris game.
Okay. 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 Make me a Tetris game for Thursdai with the to-do list in it. And okay, there we go. We're just gonna fire it up, and I've zoomed in here. I have no idea how well it's gonna work, or it just flies. I've zoomed in a bit here for the audience, but I think so I made a mistake there, and so it's gonna make the Tetris game. It goes too fast for me to even show it on this screen, but yeah, it's just going, like, it just rips. It's gonna make this is Qwen for 480B on
at full precision FP16 running on H200s. And Nistan, I will say the thing that you mentioned, we've ran into this issue with multiple folks who are listening, who've tried out Qwen3-Coder and some other models. We currently require a specific header called project. We received this. We heard you, Wolfram. We heard you as well. We are working on removing this requirement so that you be able to completely use this inference service everywhere that you use OpenAI models, including OpenWebUI and including Klein obviously supports this, but like Qwen3-Coder, CloudCoder, like all of these tools will be able to very simply connect and get some inference on there. Let's take a look. So you have Klein just like absolutely ripping through context. I believe that like Klein uses a lot of context for many of this, right?
Yeah. So Klein, it's pretty context. It's pretty context heavy. So it will be pretty slow if you use your current Cloud Code while they still allow it. But at the moment, it's just making the app right now, and we're gonna see if it's gonna build out here. But it might take a little bit because it's just vibe coding the whole Tetris app with the to-do list. But I basically wanted to show that it changes the workflow a little bit when it works fast, and so people have noticed this with the Grok with the Q as well. That it's not really the standard one where you just sit there and wait. This thing just goes, and I think it goes a bit faster sometimes that my computer struggles to stream it. I can say that I used it in other. I used Qwen3-Coder in other apps, and what I like is that I can expect consistent performance, and I did find it to be about at Sonnet 4 level. And because it's a consistent performance, I know how well this is going to. I know that it's not going to change, or I don't feel like if I use it at midday, the app is going to screw up on me. I know that is the exocortex I have, and I can rely on it, and I can plan around that. So this is the really good thing about using it as a service too. And when I've used Grok with a Q with Kimi, which you guys will also offer, I noticed it was fairly cheap, so I would use it mainly when Cloud Code would time out, and it wasn't that bad. It was usually about so it has a bunch of errors right now. Hopefully it's gonna fix them, but
fix itself,
but it is the thing with Klein is you have to do a bit of it yourself. So we'll see if it makes a to-do list Tetris by the end of this stream. But again, we haven't tested this before. It had some issues before the start of the stream.
Thursday is not usually the place for demos. Usually it's a very structured way, but I was like, all right, let's go. And listen, I think it's very helpful. Thank you so much for like showing folks how to set up Klein. Klein is absolutely killer. And we will see if this builds up by the end. But I do want to say, you said it's compared to Cloud.
Oh, it built it.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
What?
Yeah, it has. Dude, it built a Tetris game with the to-do list.
With the to-do list.
yeah, and it's building it. Okay.
It's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, guys, it rips. Like, we did not plan this demo. No. I mean, I was gonna just show it working. That was the only plan. But
go ahead. I think you have a comment, Yam.
Brother, this is amazing. I mean, I'm in shock. Seriously. Wow.
I'm just going to say it. Make it blue.
Make it blue. While it makes it blue, let me take you off from stage just for just a second and add this. Folks, I just want to say, like, this is definitely, like, we just celebrated this. This is a model that is Claude Sonnet compared to. However, right now, obviously, you can use it directly, but if you use it to us, this is significantly cheaper than Claude Sonnet 4, like significantly cheaper. We're offering this at like slash prices of $1 for 1 million tokens input and 1.5 per million tokens output. Junyang was saying that like the bigger context you use, like the more you kind of pay. We still don't yet have this kind of like sliding scale, so you get to benefit. And if you want to get maybe a little bit of inference as well, all you need to do is go to our X on Weights and Biases, find the tweet of the announcement. Okay, the new Alibaba Qwen model drop. We're probably gonna like pin this tweet as well. And all you need to do is scroll down and see how you can comment. And we had this thing that if you comment to the first tweet with coding capybara, we'll pick like 20 or 30 of you to give you $20 in WNB credits for this inference service that's OpenAI compatible. You can run hopefully soon by end of today, maybe tomorrow with Cloud Code. With Klein, it already works like Nissen showed you, and it's absolutely super fast. You guys definitely should check it out. out and give us feedback. So reply to the first tweet, find the tweet on Weights and Biases Twitter, reply with coding capybara, and I'll personally make sure. If you had thursdai in there, if you say coding capybara thursdai, I will look at those first, I promise you. So we'll definitely give you some inference responses there as well. We have some folks asking us multiple things like, hey, when is this on Open Router? When is this on Hugging Face Inference Provider? We're working on all of those, folks, so stay tuned. Again, as I will say, Nissan, as I put you back on the stream to show the results, I will say this one thing. We're a baby inference service. We just like the CoreWeave acquisition. You guys were here for this. Like it happened, what, 3.5-ish months ago, and then the folks like came in and super quick built an inference service from almost like from scratch, including everything. So we're still kind of in the experimental phase. We would love to hear feedback from you as well. We also, because we are monitoring and tracing, we will have an endpoint of you, also OpenAI compatible, that if you put that endpoint instead of this one, you'll get tracing, transparent auto tracing for you, right? So that's, imagine how cool is this. You will be able to run this everywhere, and then we'll do auto tracing in Weave for you. You don't have to set up anything. You don't have to work on anything. We'll like store all the tokens and prompts for you if you want to. So that's going to be super cool. Listen, let's finish off on let's see where the demo is right now. We're probably going to wait until it's always the demos are like in the middle of a build, but let's see our blue Tetris. Let's go. No, not this one. Listen, you're muted, but we want to see kind of.
Oh yeah. It did make it blue. It's just restarting the server right now. So yeah, it's blue. It's blue.
Let's go.
It's blue, and we can add stuff to it. And I mean, does the to-do list work? Yeah, the to-do list works.
I love how unimaginative it did. It just did the Tetris on the left and to-do list on the right.
Yeah,
I was expecting some kind of like things, but it's incredible.
It's just ripping, dude. It's just I'm gonna run Bonarine Dev because I'm impatient, and I'm just gonna get it going again. Yeah. It's changing the game mechanics right now because there was some issue with the game mechanics, but yeah, this works. I can tell. I've used it on. So the other thing about it is that when you use it on a much larger code base, you have a lot more context. And I actually had an issue because I was starting stuff off, and I can show you actually how I do it. I can start stuff off, and I can switch stuff midway to use Claude Code. And the problem was that because I'd set up the context a lot higher, I actually had some issues with it going not being able to handle the context. So it can handle much larger context. And now we just learned from Junyang that apparently it handles up to 1 million. So I hope you guys enable that. I'm going to push you a little bit. Also, please enable the caching as well. I think it's already enabled because of how fast it is. But yeah, it made it blue. It made it blue.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, thank you so much for this demo, folks. As you saw, WB Inference with the best in the world models on day one support. Definitely, I'm very, very happy that I was able to get on the good side of the folks and just push this through. And we will try to maintain these positions as well with the new upcoming models. Obviously, we'll tell you all about them here, not only about the inference. Yeah, go ahead.
That demo was crazy on a whole new level. I think it needs explanation. It's also pushing it into Klein, an open source model that is powerful enough to even do this with 1 million context. With respectfully, Claude Code does not support 1 million context. Not just the model itself. The infrastructure doesn't support it. I mean, this is a crazy demo on a whole different level. If I told you 2 weeks ago you could do this with an open weight model, any of this, that's amazing. Seriously, listen, that's a sick demo. Seriously, I wasn't ready for this to go this well. I mean, wow, seriously.
Me neither, dude. I was ready to cancel it right before the show. I actually told Alex, let's do it next week. Guys, I'm just send it.
We go live. Yeah. I will mention as well.
Fully open source stack. So the open source model, I'm guessing you guys are probably running VLM. I don't know if the company can say that. But also open source VS Code. So I'm using VS Codium, open source extension for VS Code. The whole stack is completely open. There is no telemetry being sent to freaking Microsoft. You can actually do the whole thing. You can have the cake. It's kind of a big cake, but you can have it. It's yeah.
Alrighty, so this was a very extended. This was the Kickass demo of Klein. Shout out to Klein for their extreme support, folks. You can use Qwen3-Coder in multiple other places as well. Wolfram is now going viral with his tutorial of how to use Qwen3-Coder with Cloud Code specifically, and it's very interesting. You can now use Cloud Code with Qwen3-Coder inside Klein. It's like there's a whole stack now that builds up as very, very interesting. We move on because we have like around 15 minutes and we have a bunch of stuff to cover. But as I said before, if you want some credits on their Inference service, please comment on our main thread. I also put a link down below of how to actually use this. Very, very simple. It's OpenAI compatible. There is the project thing that you have to add the header, and hopefully by end of this week we'll get rid of that, so that it's going to be fully compatible and work everywhere OpenAI works, including OpenWebUI and Cloud Code and like all of these places as well. Folks, I think it's time to mention that we're going to move away a bit away from tools, although there's one more tool that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, later. No, let's mention it now. What we just showed is Qwen3-Coder, the model being run in Klein, and we can run this in other places. The folks at Alibaba also released Qwen-Code, which is a clone of Gemini Code, which is kind of like a similar thing, like a CLI tool for their Qwen models as well. You'd be able to use it with WNB Inference. You'd be able to use this with the Qwen Inference directly as well. That's a CLI, very standard. I don't think there's like anything very exciting to talk about besides the fact that it exists. If you want, you can use that as well. But I think it's more important that we go and talk about these models winning International Math Olympiad. So, as every year, this year as well, there's a consortium of folks who build the International Math Olympiad, and a lot of school kids from around the world, not only school kids, are going and doing competition of like very, very complex math. Very similar to the eval benchmarks that we talk about, AIME 2024, AIME 2025. This is an actual Olympiad where people do compete with each other. And this year, they have allowed AI models also to participate and to get to a gold medal. Now, it's very interesting there. There's gold medal has like qualifications based on how many things do you solve, how many questions. I think there's like 6 questions in total, and if you would like answer 5 of them correctly, you get qualified for a gold medal. It's not like people can share gold medals. It's like both can be on like a gold medal, podium if they achieve this result. And so we saw that both OpenAI and Google DeepMind submitted custom models, specific reasoning custom models that don't use tools, because if you use tools, you're obviously cheating. And they did the different solution solving, but both got to IMO Gold, which is incredible. Yam, would love to hear from you because you got very excited about this. What got you excited about this, about the solutions, and generally how, while you come up and unmute, I'll show the betting markets were not expecting this to happen. With a betting market, will AI win gold medal International Math Olympiad 2025? And you can see it was like at around 20% betting up until it just happened, then like it went live. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the betting market didn't bet that hard to this direction, simply because it's a very hard problem that is known to be worked on for years. It's not some obscure problem that no one ever tried. It's a problem where the best of the best had been working on, and we heard no progress at all until one day we heard a lot of progress. That's how it works with AI. The thing about this is that you need to generalize, but in a way that intuitively feels, you can say, feels, or even on score, very hard. The generalization that you need to do from math proofs that you've already seen, even with RL, into proving things and theorems that are extremely hard. I mean, there is a reason it's a world-class competition every year. And so, and the theorems that you need to prove are new each year. It's not like you can cheat this, at least not easily.
No.
And it's absolutely incredible to see this not only happen in, within, I want to say within our lifetime, but we've probably seen a lot, but it's not only that it happened this week from two different players at the same week. I mean, that's crazy on a whole new level, and it's amazing to see. Absolutely. And I was shocked, seriously. I mean, I've seen a lot. I'm not sure if I'm surprised anymore. Like, if you can really surprise me with dropping something in AI that is crazy. But I was shocked. Seriously, I didn't expect this, especially not from both of them at the same time.
Both of them simultaneously. Not only this, ByteDance takes silver with an open source package called SeedProver with their model, which is also quite crazy. So like open source also is catching up. Yite from now DeepMind, and previously he worked in other places. I think was he at Reka?
Oh yeah, and he was at Google before. Yeah,
and then he came
absolutely.
back to Google recently. He says our IMO Gold, which he worked on, shout out Yite, is not just an experimental reasoning in quotes. It's way more general purpose than anybody would have expected. The general deep think model is going to be shipped, so stay tuned. So the model that won the IMO Gold is a general model, and it's going to get shipped. And they couldn't get to anywhere this model before. OpenAI's Boris Power said that for OpenAI, for this IMO competition, the model got no tool use, no calculators, no internet access, no formal proof software like Lean and otherwise, no algebra packages, same time limits as humans, the same input to the question as for students. So no rewriting the model for a suitable format for the model, and only one submission. So basically, these models are competing at like a gold level, medalist level. And also, I want to highlight this guy who posted like a Dave White, a research advisor and former competitive mathematician. He said that like this definitely gut punched him. The robots can now outperform humans on elite level math challenges, typically viewed as the pinnacle of high school problem solving skill. It's very, very impressive, the results from both these companies, and definitely should be shouted out. This is a breakthrough moment, folks. While we wait for AGI, whatever, the company's already like focused on ASI, and these like generalist models, not specifically trained for these models, are focused on, are solving like our best of the best, like Math Olympiad. This is Olympiads. This is the Olympics for math people. This is like the hardest ever math problems, and these models are getting gold and faster than humans. Wolfram.
Just a year or two ago, I was telling people how to use AI and telling them not to use them for anything that has to do with math, because these are text generators, not calculators or stuff like that. And look how things have changed again.
Yeah. The very basic advice that we had, like, hey, these models are text predictors, so don't expect them to do like math multiplication. And now models, just general reasoning models, general reasoning, I think is the word here, not fine-tuned, not like trained for only this general reasoning that we will see in other places, are solving math at Olympiad level. So this is how fast it moves. I want to say here, I didn't plan to do this, but like I definitely want to mention that like even Sam Altman is now getting a little bit scared of the things that he generated. I don't know if you guys saw this. Sam Altman went on Theo Von podcast, and he talked about GPT-5. GPT-5 is already being trained and tested apparently, and Sam Altman himself is using it for coding and email summarization. And Sam Altman had a moment of like reflection of how well GPT-5 did some stuff for him. So Sam Altman definitely, LDJ, go ahead if it's relevant to this. Sam Altman definitely mentioned that both GPT-5 is coming, and also the GPT-5 is solving incredible things for coding and some email tasks that he had. LDJ?
Yeah, there is a Verge article that also just released like in the past hour or so, kind of like leaking some of the plans and details of what it seems the open source release and GPT-5 release are for. So according to The Verge, it looks like GPT-5 Mini and a Nano, and then GPT-5 regular are planned. The mini and regular plan to be in ChatGPT and API, while Nano only being available in API. And they say it's planned for early August, with the open source release coming before GPT-5, maybe as soon as next week. So a lot of exciting things there. And I do have a quote actually from the Theo Von podcast that I'll try and find here. But yeah, I guess I just found it.
Yeah.
So here's the exact quote that Sam said in the Theo Von podcast. Quote, "This morning I got emailed a question I didn't understand and I put it in GPT-5 and answered it perfectly. I really kind of sat back in my chair and I was just like, oh man, here it is, this moment. I got it over it quickly and I was like busy on to the next thing, but it was kind of what we're talking about. I felt useless relative to the AI in this thing that I felt like I should be able to do, and I couldn't, and it was just really hard, but the AI just did it like that. It was a weird feeling."
This is the CEO, co-founder of OpenAI, who builds these models. Feels useless in comparison with these models. That's very, very interesting. All right, folks. We talked about big companies and APIs, I think, at length. The only other thing that I did want to mention super quick, Google had their earnings call, and Google did a few things. First of all, they launched Gemini Flash Lite. You guys remember this model that we talked about? It's finally in GA. It's doing great. You could go and check it out. And also Google on earnings call, Sundar Pichai, here's the quote. "The growth in usage has been incredible. At I.O. in May, which we've covered, I went to I.O., we announced that we processed 480 trillion monthly tokens across our services. Since then, we have doubled that number. Now processing over 980 trillion tokens." Quick question for the co-hosts here in the audience. What comes after trillion? What denomination?
Quadrillion?
A quadrillion, yeah.
Quadrillion.
Then quintillion, yeah.
Google is like 20 trillions of tokens, which is probably going to happen while we talk, away from a quadrillion tokens, I think a month, across their AI services, which is just absolutely insane.
We should call it quads now. Holy crap. We
Quads,
need new
yes.
terms, yeah. They're doing a quad a month. Holy
415 million monthly active, 415 million active monthly users, and daily requests grew 50% from Q1 in 2025. AI is absolutely eating the world. Jan, go ahead.
Oh yeah, look, there is no denying that Google scale is Google scale. But my question is, do we have comparable numbers from OpenAI, for example? Because it's interesting to talk about how many tokens OpenAI process, because it can be many things. OpenAI, as of this moment, everyone knows that OpenAI is leading in terms of number of users. So it's very interesting to see any information at all that we might compare. But yeah, I mean, crazy. The Google scale is Google scale. Everybody's using AI.
I mean, they turned on AI mode to all of India pretty much, and that immediately probably jumped up the ways, the number of people who use this monthly.
I didn't think about this. They turned AI mode, so they use AI for you even if you don't ask it specifically. Yeah, I mean, they might be processing the most. I mean, I didn't think about this, but yeah, I mean, they might be processing. It's crazy.
So crazy. AI overviews just kind of work for you, and so when they turn it on, like everybody just who uses Google, so that's immediate. And then AI mode, you have to click in. LDJ, one small comment, and we move on because I do want to talk about ChatGPT Agent super quick, and then also the TTS, and we have pretty much running out of time.
Yeah, sure. So what Jan was saying of comparable things, OpenAI did actually just recently in the past couple days state that they are now processing over 2.5 billion queries per day. Not tokens, just queries. So if we assume like at least 100 tokens of output per query, then that's over 250 billion tokens they're doing per day.
Bam.
Yeah, just on ChatGPT.
Yep, that's a lot. Alrighty, folks, let's move on super quick, and we'll end on the ChatGPT agent thing. We have a new winner in the audio category. Wolfram, I don't know if you can maybe help us play a sample from the Higgs audio V2 like you previously did. If you share your screen, that'd be helpful because it's a little bit of a setup here. But basically, Higgs audio V2 from Boson AI. While Wolfram pulls it up, if you can, is open unified TTS model with voice cloning and it beats GPT-4o Mini and even 11 Labs. Even it's trained on 10 million hours on speech and music and events on top of Llama 3.2, so it's an intelligent model, and it almost works real time and on edge. I'm reading a tweet from Vaibhav, our friend from Hugging Face, so it always go hard. Give Vaibhav a follow. It beats GPT-4o and 11 Labs in prosody and emotion multi-speaker dialogue, and it has zero-shot voice cloning. So we can take a look. Wolfram, I can send you the exact tweet if you want to pull this up. Yep. And as always, we get improvements across the board. This is why we love in Thursday to cover like everything in chunks. So we're gonna take a look and see. It's really something. The improvements in voices is like really something. And it's available with a 0 GPU demo as well. Alrighty, Wolfram.
Okay, I hope this works.
Let's go. No, cannot hear. I think you need to share the tab if you can, and not the whole window. The only way to get audio on.
Right, I had it muted here. And I have to close the our X space.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me try. Apologies, folks. Sharing with audio is difficult, but I think we should be able to do this. Let me see. Folks, let me know if you can hear us.
You spent our weekends tuning a model instead of seeing my parents.
But that run was really important.
You looked at your freaking loss curve longer than you looked at me.
That is not true. I just needed it to converge.
You promised things would get better after your PhD.
Babe, I swear, just give me a little more time. Everything will change after AGI.
All right, this is one example. Honestly, it sounds good. I've heard better, but for open source, it sounds really good. I think the real timeness of this is worth noting and calling out. So shout out to Higgs. Also calling it boson is really funny. All right, folks, let's end on something very incredible. I actually want to show you maybe, and yeah, meanwhile, we both got access to ChatGPT Agent. We actually streamed the ChatGPT Agent stream last week on Thursday, but then we didn't have access. ChatGPT Agent is a combination of the OpenAI operator that can operate the web browser and OpenAI Deep Research that can do like deeper tasks and is meaningful multi-turn, long horizon context agent. And they kind of shoved them all together, and they got to a point where they have agents for OpenAI, and now I think they rolled it out to Pro to Plus tier as well. Yam, how's your experience with Agent? What did you do? What did you try to do?
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. You think that 03 is crazy for surfing the internet and going out and finding information for you, but this is on a whole different level. First, because you can see, and second, because it has access to, because it's a real browser and not just a search. And by the way, you need to insist. You need to ask specifically, use the real browser for many things, because it can choose what it wants. I saw it all of a sudden starting to watch YouTube videos. And
what? Really?
Yeah. I tried. I just, for the first time I saw the button, it was on my mobile phone, and I just thought, okay, maybe I'll ask it, what are the new, compare Claude Code to Gemini CLI to Codex CLI, because for a couple of weeks I didn't try them, and I thought, okay, maybe I could use a comparison. Let's see what it comes up with. And all of a sudden it starts to go on YouTube, watch videos of people comparing them, and go on Reddit and do really sophisticated things, checking the comments and so on. And it was just, first it was surprising, I didn't expect it, but it was absolutely incredible. I saw it on you see the browser with the arrow moving on mobile, on the app. It's not just on the computer, like on your phone. And obviously you can go on the computer and check, because it's the same, and OpenAI's app are amazing. But man, I didn't expect that. What did you do with this? I mean, that's incredible.
I've tried multiple things. First of all, I tried to get my girlfriend flowers. with the agent. It did almost succeed. It didn't have my checkout info, but it chose the right flowers within the budget, and then like it got to the right point. It was incredible. Then I tried to book tickets. I'm going on vacation actually after next week, so hopefully I'll be here for the GPT-5 and the open source. But if not, I know the folks can carry on without me. But I tried to like do some vacation stuff. I needed insurance policy, for example, so I asked it to go and find out the right insurance policy for 3 people, and it did fill out all the stuff. It did ask me like, hey, what are the names, who are you traveling with, etc. But like it got to a point where like it's like, hey Alex, just input your billing, and everything was good. And it actually, folks, I can say, even though it failed on the first one, and I did report this bug to OpenAI, it just failed and shut the browser down. It did find me the right policy, filled out the things. All I needed to do is add my billing info and credit card, and then I got the policy. Hopefully that's correct. I did verify this myself. And then my hardest test is this one. This is my agentic test since the beginning. I have a very specific way that I prepare for Thursday. I go through a bunch of tweets, and I go to bookmarks, and I open all up and all summarize, and like I do a bunch of stuff. And I did a comparison stream yesterday where I ran this agentic task on ChatGPT kind of agent and Common Browser, the agentic browser for Perplexity that we just told you about before, that also has access to my kind of login state. And both of them did this. OpenAI did this a little bit better. Common did this a little bit faster, but worse. And both of them needed interaction. Both of them forgot a few things. So they didn't do it perfectly. I would give it like a C- to Comet and maybe a C here to the ChatGPT agent. But this is a difficult task. Multiple variables. It has to keep a bunch of states. It has to put it in like a thing. So it definitely is a more complex task than like, hey, go somewhere and fill out this form for me. The go somewhere, fill out this form for me works incredible. I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I'm like, feel confident enough to give it a credit card. Probably I will. If you guys remember, the older generation went on the internet and were scared shitless of sharing their credit cards, and now all we do is buy online, right? So like this also changes. I'm expecting that we'll give agents some power of attorney, whatever, some budget, and we'll be able to do stuff for us. Because I was thinking about this. It would be very convenient if ChatGPT agent had access to my 1Password, and my 1Password has my both logins and credit cards, but also I kind of don't want it to get access to go crazy. But yeah, and so you can see, for folks who are watching this on screen, you can literally see visually what it does. It has like a cursor. The cursor has like a little thinking bubble, so it shows you what it thinks while it happens. It still needs a lot of intervention. For multiple things. Research stuff maybe less, but like it still needs a lot of intervention for the more difficult stuff. Multiple points during this thing, the ChatGPT kind of gave up and told me, hey Alex, my browsing environment just shut out, but here's how to do this, and gave me instructions on how to do the task that I asked it to do, which, man, I know how to do this. This is why I asked you. Like, I don't need instructions on how to do this. This is literally why I need an agent to do things for me. So this was kind of funny. But this has been my experience. And absolutely sure that this is where things are going to go. It's more and more easy now that it's baked into the ChatGPT app to just like launch it, send something, and go off, and it's on your browser. Definitely great experience. Wolfram?
I'm happy that I got it even here in Europe, and I love the presentation, how they did it. I have been using Claude Computer Use before, and this is pretty much a more advanced version of this, but the presentation, how they implemented it in the small screen, it looks amazing. It shows important information. That is very well done. Whoever came up with that concept, that's brilliant. Yep. And the rate limit for Plus users is just 40 queries per month. That is a bit hard. Now I experiment a bit, but I don't want to use it up all because I don't know if I will need it later. So I will just wait, and when the month rolls over, maybe then I will do a power session or something. So yeah, but it's amazing, cool stuff.
It is a very good tool, folks. It's a very good tool. They shipped like a soda tool just for this. I heard rumors that some folks at Google maybe ship something as well. We'll see. Folks, with that said, I think we're at the end. We're past the end, but I think we're at the end. We had
really quick start. Shout out to Zenova for getting Voxtral, the Mistral voice model, to work on web GPU. So if you have a very good computer now, you can just run that thing straight on your on your browser. You don't need to install anything. That's insane to me. Okay, so shout out to at Zenova.com, Josh from Weights and Biases, also author of the Transformers.js library, because he got that working pretty fast.
Such a nice dude as well. I had a chance to meet him as well recently. LDJ?
Yeah, so I was going to mention, since we were just talking about ChatGPT Agent, there is an OpenAI thing we haven't talked about, which is there's a new anonymous chatbot model on LM Arena that calls itself O3 Alpha. And apparently it's like people are saying it's like the best front-end coding model they've ever tried. People are posting examples on Twitter. Here, I'll actually post just posted a link to you on the StreamYard chat right now.
Wait, hold up. Nistan,
Yeah?
I'm just sharing your screen. Did you make the Tetris go 3D?
Yeah, dude,
What?
dude, I made 3D chess, bro. It's still ripping. It is still ripping.
3D Tetris, let's go.
Hang on. Okay, you guys saw that, right? Hang on, let's just
Yes.
start. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Sorry, I'm very excited. I mean, it tried to also make, I think it misunderstood from my text-to-speech, from my local whisper, my instructions. But yeah, it also made the to-do list in 3D. So it's still going. But yeah, guys, it literally made 3D chess.
All right, Nissan,
right
I'm
now.
getting a request for you to host this thing somewhere, so the Thursday folks who are getting the newsletter who won't be able to just see this will be able to play around with this. But with this, folks, I think we must end because like we're way past 2 hours. LDJ, one last comment.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to pull it up, just the specific front-end coding examples of people showed like images and videos and the links I just put in StreamYard right now.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I can confirm, totally confirm that this model is different. I mean, I don't know what it is, where it's coming from. I mean, obviously it's called O3 something, so it's a hint. But yeah, I absolutely confirm. I played with it quite a while, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
If you look at the
Seriously,
first link I put, it might even, I think it's more impressive than the Rubik's Cube.
All right, let's do this, and then we'll hopefully this is the open source one.
One thing about the agents, just I want to say, close up with this is the worst that there are going to be. This is the worst. This is absolutely the worst that agents are going to be. So if at the moment they don't do something well, but kind of doing it or doing it slow, and you don't want to trust them with your credit card, well, I think next year you will.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
Probably end of this year. Alrighty, folks, this is it. This is Thursday for July 2024. We didn't get to the papers, which are very incredible, where some models teach other models their preferences based just like through unrelated data. We didn't get to the point where Apple is showing a thing where you can speed up inference by 5x for LLMs with a few lines of code. Crazy stuff is happening. But folks, this has been Thursday for this week. We were very, very, very happy to not only tell you about the Qwen 3 updated models and tell you about like the Qwen-Coder models. We're also very, very happy to host Junyang Lin, a friend of the pod of ours, from the Qwen team, to talk about the models and kind of the stuff and the choices they did. We also were very happy to host Joseph Nelson, our friend of the pod, who was in Washington to see the White House announce the AI action plan that's very strongly pro open source and generally like wants to move things forward. Very, very positive AI action plan. And obviously, we were incredibly happy. I was incredibly happy to tell you that we are hosting the Qwen models on the WB Inference powered by CoreWeave. And not only can I just tell you about this, we actually had a live demo of Nistan like trying it out and then building some crazy things on the fly with these models here right on stage here. So you definitely want to check this out. Feel free to comment on the actual tweet of ours, Coding Capybara. Shout out to the previous mascot of Alibaba that we all remember and love. And also Nistan will hopefully put up this demo somewhere that you guys can play with this. So we'll be able to add this to the show notes. If you missed any part of the show, as always, Thursday is a show that is not only live stream, but then edited down and boiled down to a form of a newsletter. We add all the links we talked about and even the stuff that we don't get to talk about but happened during the show. We add to the newsletter. I think there's over like 7,000 registers to the newsletter, if not more. I need to check the latest numbers. Incredible. We had more than 10,000 of you join our live stream, which is incredible. And we will be here next week, and hopefully next week we'll get some of those releases as well. So folks, Thank you so much for joining. This has been Thursday. It's always a pleasure to host this with my co-host Wolf from Raven Wolf, Nistan Tahira, Jan Peligan, LDJ, and we'll be here next week. Bye-bye for now. Thank you so much all for joining. Bye-bye.